If your dispute letters keep coming back with the same frustrating result, there's a good chance the problem is not that credit repair doesn't work. It's that most people are building their disputes from weak information, using vague language, and challenging the wrong things in the wrong order. And that is exactly why two people can have the same collection, the same late payment, or the same charge-off, and one gets movement, while the other gets a quick verified as accurate response and stays stuck. In this video, I'm going to show you a much smarter way to approach credit disputes. Not a magic trick, not a recycled template, not one of those copy this exact letter and delete everything overnight fantasies. I'm talking about a method that starts with the right version of your credit data, uses AI the right way, and helps you build a more specific, more organized dispute from actual facts. And here's the important part. This is not about getting AI to make things up for you. It's about using AI like an analyst, not like a scam artist. Because when you understand that difference, your entire credit repair process changes. I'm going to break this down step by step. First, how to pull the kind of report that actually helps you spot problems. Second, how to identify the errors that matter most. Third, how to use AI to organize those facts into a strong dispute. Fourth, how to send it the right way. And fifth, what to do if the bureaus or furnishers push back. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete system you can follow for Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And if you've been spinning your wheels for months, this is the part where that can start to change. Now, before we get into it, if you like practical videos about credit reports, credit score strategy, and real credit repair, hit like, subscribe, and let's get into it. So let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at your credit report, seen a collection or late payment you wanted gone, and immediately started searching for a dispute template? That's what most people do. They don't stop to ask whether the account is actually being reported incorrectly. They don't compare it across bureaus. They don't gather supporting documents. They don't build a clean timeline. They just grab a letter from the internet, swap in their name and account number, and hope the bureaus do the rest. That approach fails all the time. And here's why. A credit dispute is not supposed to be a random complaint. It's supposed to point to a real issue, something inaccurate, something incomplete. Something that cannot be properly verified. Something reported differently than it should be under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. If your letter doesn't clearly identify that issue, you've made the Bureau's job easy. They can route it through a standard process, check with the data furnisher, and send you back a result that changes nothing. That's why so many people think disputes are pointless. It's not always because the system is impossible. A lot of times, it's because the dispute itself is too generic to force a meaningful review. And there's another reason people fail. They're often using the wrong source to build the dispute in the first place. A score app is fine for a quick glance. A credit monitoring dashboard is fine for alerts. But if you're trying to challenge a late payment, a collection balance, a date of first delinquency, or a status that doesn't match, you need more than a summary screen. You need detail. You need to see how that account is being shown by each bureau. You need the dates, balances, statuses, remarks, account identifiers, and reporting history that actually tell the story. And that brings us to the better solution. The smarter move is to build every dispute from a full, detailed report, compare the account across all three bureaus, find the factual issue, then use AI to help organize and draft your letter around that issue. That's the method. Not AI will delete everything. Not one secret sentence fixes your credit overnight. Just a better process. And that process starts with step one. Step one is getting the right report. Most people are relying on whatever version is easiest to access. That might be a score app, a bank dashboard, or a simplified summary from a monitoring service. Those are useful for checking your score direction. They are not always the best source for building a dispute. What you want is a full credit report with enough detail to review the account carefully. That can come from annualcreditreport.com, from bureau disclosures, or from a tri-merge style report if you already have access to one through a legitimate service. The point is not the brand. The point is the detail. When you open that report, don't start by looking at everything. That's how people get overwhelmed. Start with the accounts that are most likely hurting your credit score right now. Collections, charge-offs, recent late payments, repossessions, incorrect hard inquiries, balances that look wrong, accounts that should show closed but still appear open, duplicate collections, personal information that clearly doesn't belong to you. Those are the areas worth your attention first. And here's what you're looking for. You're looking for reporting that doesn't line up. Maybe Experian shows an account as charged off, while TransUnion shows it as a collection with a different balance. Maybe Equifax shows a late payment in a month where the creditor's own statement shows you were current. Maybe one bureau shows a collection opened in 1 year, another shows a different timeline, and the dates don't make sense with the rest of your file. Maybe the account number is partially masked differently. The last reported date jumps around, or the same debt appears twice under different collectors. Those details matter. Because the more specific your issue is, the more focused your dispute can be. And that leads to step two. Step two is deciding what is actually dispute-worthy. This is where a lot of people go wrong. Not every negative account is a good dispute candidate. If the information is accurate, complete, and legally reportable, sending a dispute just because you don't like it usually won't get you very far. And worse, it can waste your time and muddy your paper trail. A smarter approach is to separate your file into 3 buckets. Bucket 1, clearly inaccurate items. These are your strongest dispute candidates. Bucket 2, questionable items that need more proof before you challenge them. These might be real opportunities, but you need statements, payment records, settlement documents, or collection notices to back them up. Bucket 3, accurate negative items. These are usually better addressed with other strategies, like goodwill letters, pay for delete negotiations when available, time, or rebuilding positive history. That one decision alone can save people months. Because once you stop trying to attack everything at once, you can focus on the items that give you the best chance of real movement. Now let's talk about AI. Because this is where most people either get excited for the wrong reason or mess the whole process up. Step 3 is using AI as a dispute assistant, not as a shortcut. Do not ask AI to invent violations. Do not ask it to write aggressive legal language you don't understand. Do not upload a report and blindly copy whatever it spits out. That is lazy, and lazy credit repair usually turns into weak disputes. What AI is actually great at is this: summarizing account differences, pulling the relevant facts into one place, organizing a clear timeline, turning messy notes into a clean letter, helping you sound more precise and less emotional, and saving you time. That's the real value. So here's how to use it properly. Take the specific account you want to challenge. Gather the evidence. That might be screenshots from each bureau, billing statements, letters from the creditor, proof of payment, settlement records, identity documents if needed, and notes explaining exactly what looks wrong. Then give AI a clear instruction, something like review the attached account information from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Identify factual differences in status, balance, payment history, and dates. Draft a dispute letter that explains these inconsistencies clearly. Requests investigation and correction or deletion if the information cannot be verified as accurate, and leave space for me to attach supporting documents. See the difference? You are not asking for a miracle. You are asking for organization. That matters, because a strong dispute letter usually does a few very simple things well. It identifies you clearly. It identifies the account clearly. It explains exactly what appears wrong. It references the documents you attached. It asks for investigation and correction or removal if the information is inaccurate or cannot be verified properly. And it stays focused. That's it. No drama. No fake legal threats. No internet guru language. Just facts. Let me give you a real-world example. Let's say you have a collection account showing on all three bureaus. On Experian, the balance says $1,184. On Equifax, it says $0 but still shows as unpaid. On TransUnion, it shows a different updated date and a balance of $1,184 again. Now imagine you also have a settlement letter from the collector showing the account was resolved 2 months ago. That is not a situation where you want a generic letter saying, please verify this account. That wastes the opportunity. A stronger approach would be to point out that the reporting is inconsistent across bureaus, does not align with your settlement documentation, and should be investigated and corrected. Now here's another example. Maybe you have a 30-day late payment on a credit card from last year, but your bank statements show the payment was drafted before the due date, and the creditor later reversed a fee and acknowledged the account was current. That is a document-backed dispute. Very different from I don't remember being late, and that difference is everything. Step 4 is how to send the dispute. You have a few legitimate options here. You can dispute online with the bureaus, you can dispute by mail, and when appropriate, you can also dispute directly with the furnisher, the company that reported the information. There isn't one universal method that is perfect every time. Online is fast and convenient. Mail can be better when you want a cleaner record of exactly what you sent. Direct disputes with the furnisher can be powerful when the source of the error is clearly the creditor or collector itself. What matters most is that you send a complete package. If you're mailing, include your identification information, the account details, your letter, and copies, not originals, of supporting documents. If you're submitting online, upload a clean, organized file. Not 10 random blurry screenshots with no explanation. Make it easy to understand. One of the best habits you can build is naming your files clearly and keeping a dispute folder. For example, Experian_collection, ABC_medical_07226, or late payment_dispute, or proof_May 2026. That may sound small, but once you're dealing with multiple letters, response dates, and bureau updates, organization becomes a serious advantage. And here's a big tip. Don't dump 10 unrelated disputes into one giant package unless they are all part of the same clearly documented issue. If you challenge everything on your report at once with broad language, you increase the risk of a weak response or a claim that your submission is too vague or unsupported. Focus beats volume. One strong dispute can do more than 5 sloppy ones. Now, once the dispute is sent, step 5 is tracking the response window. Under the FCRA, credit bureaus generally have to investigate disputes within a set period, often 30 days, depending on how the dispute is submitted and whether more information is added. That means you need a system. Track the date you sent it. Track what documents you included. Track which bureau or furnisher received it. Track when they responded. Track what changed. Do not rely on memory. If they update the account, save the updated report. If they delete the item, save proof. If they mark it verified, compare the new reporting to the old version and see whether the same inconsistencies remain. Because here's what a lot of people miss. The first response is not the end of the story. Sometimes an account gets corrected on one bureau and not the others. Sometimes the furnisher updates the balance but leaves the status wrong. Sometimes the bureau sends a generic result that doesn't really address the evidence you submitted. That's where your records matter. Because then you can follow up with a second tighter dispute, or dispute directly with the furnisher, or escalate if the response appears incomplete. And yes, this is where agencies like the CFPB can come into the conversation. Not as a first move for everything, not as a threat you throw around casually, but if you have a documented timeline, submitted a legitimate dispute, and the issue is still not being handled correctly, a CFPB complaint can add pressure and create another formal record. When you file one, keep it simple. Explain the issue. List the dates. Summarize what you submitted. Attach the key documents. State what outcome you're seeking. Again, facts win. Now let me pause here for 1 second. If you've ever felt like credit repair was confusing on purpose, you're not crazy. A lot of people aren't failing because they're incapable. They're failing because the process gets taught badly. They get sold hype instead of systems. But once you understand how to work from evidence, your confidence goes way up. Now let's talk about the mistakes to avoid. Because this is where people throw away good opportunities. Mistake number 1, disputing accurate information just because it's negative. That's not a strategy. That's frustration in letter form. Mistake number 2, using the same generic template for every account. A late payment dispute should not read like a duplicate collection dispute. A mixed file issue should not sound like a wrong balance issue. Mistake number 3, failing to attach proof. If you have statements, payment confirmations, settlement letters, identity theft reports, or correspondence from the creditor, use them. Mistake number 4, challenging too many items at one time with no structure. That can weaken your case fast. Mistake number 5, letting AI overtake your judgment. If the draft letter includes facts that aren't true, remove them. If it sounds robotic, rewrite it. If it cites laws you don't understand, simplify it. You are still the editor. Mistake number 6, not disputing with the furnisher when appropriate. Sometimes the bureau is only part of the picture. If the creditor or collection agency is the one feeding bad data, go to the source too. Mistake number 7, ignoring your broader credit profile while you're disputing. You cannot be trying to clean up old damage while also maxing out cards, missing new payments, and stacking hard inquiries. Credit repair works better when the rest of your habits support it. That means on-time payments, low credit utilization, no unnecessary new accounts, monitoring your reports regularly, and making sure your personal information is clean and consistent. Now for some pro tips. First, review your personal information section carefully. Old addresses, name variations, and employer data don't always seem important, but if something clearly doesn't belong to you, it can be part of a bigger file mixing problem. Second, compare all 3 bureaus before sending anything. An account that looks normal on one report may show the real issue when you line it up with the others. Third, save everything as you go. Every letter, every upload confirmation, every response, every updated report. Fourth, keep your tone professional. You don't need to sound like a lawyer. you need to sound organized. Fifth, when the item is accurate but old, think beyond disputes. A goodwill letter for a one-time late payment. A pay-for-delete discussion with a collector if they're willing, or focusing on adding positive credit history and lowering utilization. That's all part of real credit repair too. Sixth, use AI to shorten the work, not skip the work. That's probably the biggest lesson in this entire video, because the winning formula here is not technology plus hope. It's facts, documentation, and follow-through with technology helping you move faster. So let's bring this all together. If your dispute letters have not been getting results, stop blaming yourself and stop chasing random templates. Start with a full report. Find a real reporting problem. Separate solid dispute candidates from items that need other strategies. Use AI to organize the facts and draft clearly. Send a complete dispute, track the timeline, follow up when needed, escalate only when the documentation supports it. That is the smarter method. Not flashy, not fake, but effective. And if you do this right, you're no longer just sending a letter. You're building a case, and that one shift in mindset can completely change how you approach your credit report, your credit score, and your overall personal finance strategy. So here's your action step. Today, pull your reports. Pick one account, not 5. 1. Review how it's reported across Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Look for factual inconsistencies. Gather your supporting documents. Then let AI help you turn that information into a cleaner, more specific dispute. Start there, because once you can do one dispute the right way, you can repeat that process across your file much more effectively. If this helped you, like the video, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me what kind of account you want me to break down next: collections, charge-offs, late payments, hard inquiries, or something else. And if you want a follow-up video, I can show you exactly how to use AI to organize a dispute for late payments versus collections, because those should not be handled the same way. I'll see you in the next one.